This lesson is called trapezoids. We want to be able to apply properties of trapezoids to determine the measures of sides, diagonals, and other angles. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral, but this one is not a parallelogram, okay, because it has exactly one pair of parallel sides. So parallelograms, remember, both sides are parallel. So on this one, there's only one pair. So in this example here, BC and AD are the parallel sides. So those sides are called the bases. So they are the parallel, I'm just going to use the symbol for parallel sides of a trapezoid. And then the other side, AB and CD, those are called the legs. Okay, now one thing to keep in mind here, and they're the non-parallel sides. Okay, one thing to keep in mind is a lot of times we'll see trapezoids drawn this way, and so you might assume that they're always on their bases, but that's not the case. Let me try and draw one. I'm not very good at drawing these here, but you could have, okay, so this is a parallelogram, and if we call this RSTU, then the bases of this red trapezoid would be, the bases would be SR and TU. So remember that the bases are the parallel sides, not necessarily what it's sitting on. Okay. So let's look here. Then the angles, BC, so this angle right here and this angle right here, okay, I'm not saying they're congruent, there's just pointing them out. And the other angles here, this one here, A, I'll just circle it, and this one here, D, okay, but we're just talking about the angle. Those are the base angles. And the base angles are just the angles adjacent to the bases, the ones that are there on the base. So then each lower base angle is supplemental to the upper base angle on the same side. In other words, let me see if I can erase this here and I'll make an example. But okay, so angle A plus angle B equals 180 degrees, and angle C plus angle D equals 180 degrees. So this looks like it could be about, let's just say this is 100 degrees, then this one has to be 80. And over here, this looks like maybe it could be 60 degrees, so that means this one would be 120. So an upper base and a lower base on the same side are supplemental, or they add up to 180 degrees. Okay, let's look at the first example. Find the length of the angle indicated in the trapezoid. So here we have an upper base and a lower base, and we know when we add these together we have to get 180. So 6x plus 8x is 14x, and then we're going to add 34 and a negative 22, so that would be 12 equals 180. So if we subtract 12 from both sides, I'm going to get my calculator because I'm going to get 14x is equal to 168, I believe. And now I am going to divide. 168 divided by 14 is 12. So x is 12. Okay? So let's look at the quick check. In fact, you should pause and do the quick check yourself. Hopefully you did. Again, we have an upper base and a lower base. So we know when we add the two, we add this one and this one, we should get 180. So I end up with 11x plus 95 plus 8 is what, 103 equals 180. And subtract that. It's early, I can't add or subtract yet. Okay, so I get 11x equals 77. And if you divide by 11, you should get x is equal to 7. Okay. So now we have another term, and that term is a median. And a median is a segment that joins the midpoints of the legs of a trapezoid, and it is parallel to the bases. So let me see if I can draw that. Pretend that okay, pretend those are parallel. So if we find the midpoint here, that means that this is congruent to this. And if we find the midpoint over here, okay, so that's congruent to that, then this segment is called a median, and it is parallel to both bases. And the median is equal to half the sum, the length of the bases. So I like to write it base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2. Sometimes you'll see it written 1/2 base 1 plus base 2. They mean the same thing. Somehow I just see that's the one that I usually use, but you can see it written either way. Okay, let's look at example 2 now. Okay, AB is 25. So this is 25. And DC is 13. And so the rule is base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 gives you the median. And that's what they're asking for, the median. So it's just 25 plus 13 divided by 12. So divided by 2, sorry. So 38 divided by 2 is what? 19? Okay, let's look at example 3. AE is 11. And FB is 8. These are obviously not drawn to scale. But anyway, so what would be the length of AD? Well, since this by definition is a midpoint, if that's 11, this has to be 11. So you would just add the 2 and it would be 22. And on this side, if FB is 8, CF is 8, and you add those two together, and BC is 16. Same picture, EAB is 63. DEF. That is this right here. So let me clear the board for just a moment. Okay, I'm going to go back and just look at 63 right here. And they're asking for this one. So we're going back again to our parallel lines and transversals. By definition, these lines are parallel. In fact, all 3 of the lines are parallel, but we'll just look at those. And then here we have 2 parallel lines cut by a transversal. So these angles here would be, anybody remember the name? Corresponding angles. But more important than the name is that they are congruent. So if this one's 63, this one is also 63. So now let's look at the next example. Example 4. AB is 29. And EF is 24. So this time we're given the length of the median and one of the sides. So remember the formula. Base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 gives us the median. Well, this time we are given one of the bases and we're given the median. So this would just be 29 plus this base up here, I'm just going to call it x, divide by 2 equals 24. Okay, we want to get rid of this division by 2, so we're going to multiply both sides by 2. And we're left with 29 plus x equals 48. So then we just need to subtract 29 from both sides, and x is equal to, is that 19? Okay, I believe it's 19, but let me double check. Again, it's very early. 48 minus 29. Yeah, 19. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay, we're going to do 2 more examples and then we'll stop this video and then I'll finish on a second because it's kind of long. So in trapezoid ABCD, EF is a median. And so now they give us AB, which is 7y plus 6. Sorry, my writing. And then EF is 5y minus 3. And DC is y minus 2. And the rule says base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 equals the median. So this one we just have algebra to put into the problem. So here is base 1 and here is base 2. So we're going to add these together. So 7y plus y is 8y. We have a positive 6 and a minus 2. That's going to be plus 4. And that is divided by 2 is equal to the median, 5y minus 3. Okay, so that's base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 equals the median. So now we're just going to multiply both sides by 2. Okay. And just be very careful. On the left, we're left with 8y plus 4. And on the right side, we need to distribute. So it's 2 times 5y minus 3. So it's going to be 10y minus 6. So subtract 8y from both sides. And we're left with 4 is equal to 2y minus 6. Add 6 to both sides. And we get, 2y is equal to 10 and divide by 2. So y is equal to 5. Okay. Now let's be careful. That's not the question that it asked. We got y is equal to 5, but it asked for EF. So be sure in the end, let's kind of change my color, to go back and answer what is EF. So if y is 5, just substitute it. 5 times 5 minus 3. 5 times 5 is 25, minus 3 is 22. So please pause and do this quick check, okay? I hope you did. AB is 6x minus 6. EF is 7x minus 4. And DC is 38. So we're going to add base 1 to base 2 and divide by 2 and set it equal to the median. So I get 6x And then I'm going to add a positive 38 and a negative 6, and I'll get a positive 32.